Have you ever stopped to wonder why, even after achieving so much in life, you still feel an inexplicable emptiness in your chest? Why, despite all your accumulated experience, do you still find yourself caught in behaviors you know no longer serve you? There's a force within you that may be dissipating in ways you don't even realize, a primal energy that should be your greatest source of power, but which may be becoming your greatest weakness. At 50 or older, you're no longer that impulsive young man who acts without thinking. You're a man who should be at the peak of his power, not just physical but mental, emotional, and spiritual. However, something is wrong. Something is silently, imperceptibly sucking your vitality until one day you wake up and wonder, where did that fire that once burned within me go? The answer lies in a truth that Napoleon Hill discovered, and that few men have the courage to face. Your sexual energy is the most powerful force you possess, but also the most dangerous when misdirected. This isn't just the energy that drives carnal desire. It's the very essence of creation, ambition, achievement, and transcendence. It's the fuel that powers all great human accomplishments, or when wasted, leaves a trail of mediocrity and frustration. Today, you'll discover 5 signs that you're destroying this vital force without even realizing it. But more than that, you'll understand how to transform this power into magnetism, purpose, and achievement. Because a mature man who masters his sexual energy isn't just successful, it becomes a force of nature. The first devastation scene that erodes your masculine energy is the constant escape through empty and compulsive pleasure. You may not even realize it, but every time you seek instant gratification through mechanical masturbation, pornography consumption, or any other purposeless sexual escape, you're literally draining the reservoir of your life force. This isn't about moralism or judgment. It's about pure energetic physics. Napoleon Hill observed that the most successful men were those who learned to transmute their sexual energy into concrete achievements. They didn't repress this force, they channeled it. The difference is enormous. When you dissipate this energy automatically and compulsively, you're essentially throwing away the fuel that could move mountains in your life. Think of sexual energy as fire. Fire can burn down a house, or it can power a locomotive. The difference isn't in the fire itself, but in how it's directed and contained. Your sexual energy, when wasted on fleeting and empty pleasures, is like an uncontrolled fire that consumes everything around it, including your vitality, your focus, and your magnetic presence. At 50, you should be in complete control of this inner fire. You should be the master of the flame, not its slave. But how often do you find yourself giving in to impulses you know don't uplift you? How often do you allow compulsion to take the place of conscious choice? Every time this happens, you're not just losing a few minutes, you're losing a part of your masculine essence. The man who masters his sexual energy radiates a different presence. He walks with more firmness, speaks with more authority, looks people in the eye with more intensity. This is no coincidence. It's the direct result of keeping this life force circulating in his system, fooling every cell of his body and every thought of his mind. The second sin that devastates your masculine energy is chronic mental dispersion and the inability to sustain deep focus. We live in an age of infinite distractions, but a mature man should have developed the capacity for laser-like concentration. When your sexual energy is being mismanaged, one of the first things that deteriorates is your ability to maintain sustained attention on important projects. This happens because sexual energy and mental energy are manifestations of the same life force. When you're constantly dissipating this energy in empty pleasures, there's less fuel to power your brain. You become mentally lazy, procrastinate more, lose interest quickly, and can't immerse yourself deeply in anything. The man who has learned sexual transmutation, on the other hand, develops an almost supernatural capacity for concentration. He can work for hours without mental fatigue, delve into complex problems with pleasure, and maintain his focus even in the face of the greatest distractions. His mind becomes a sharpened blade, capable of cutting through any challenge. This isn't just a matter of discipline, it's a matter of energy management. Your sexual energy, when preserved and redirected, transforms into pure mental fuel. It's as if you have access to an infinite reservoir of cognitive power. Problems that don't seem impossible become just interesting puzzles to be solved. Modern society conspires against this possibility. It wants you dispersed, distracted, constantly seeking the next stimulus. But the wise man recognizes this trap and chooses a different path. He understands that his attention is his most valuable resource and that protecting his sexual energy is protecting his ability to create, innovate, and lead. The third destructive sin of depleted masculine energy is the gradual loss of personal magnetism and charismatic presence. Have you noticed how some people enter a room and immediately command attention, while others go unnoticed? This difference doesn't just have to do with physical appearance or social status. It has to do with energy. The man who is constantly dissipating his life force loses that inner glow that attracts people. His presence becomes opaque, his voice loses authority, his gestures become less expressive. He may not consciously realize it, but the people around him feel this energetic difference. They feel less inclined to seek his opinion, less interested in his company, less inspired by his leadership. On the other hand, the man who has learned to conserve and transmute his sexual energy develops an almost irresistible natural magnetism. He doesn't need to try to get attention. People naturally gravitate towards him. His presence fills the room, his words carry weight, his silences are powerful. This happens because sexual energy, when preserved, radiates through his aura, creating an invisible magnetic field around him. It's as if he becomes a human magnet, attracting opportunities, relationships, and positive experiences. Influential people want to be around him. Business opportunities arise out of nowhere. Relationships deepen natural. By age 50 or more, this magnetism should be at its peak. You should be the man everyone wants to know, whose advice is valued, whose presence is always welcome. But if you're wasting your vital energy, you're literally extinguishing this magnetic flame that should be your superpower. The fourth devastating sin is a decrease in courage and the ability to take calculated risks. Sexual energy isn't just the force behind desire, it's also the fuel of courage, ambition, and the willingness to face challenges. When this energy is mismanaged, you gradually become more cautious, more fearful, more prone to choosing security over adventure. This is particularly devastating for mature men because it should be exactly the opposite. With accumulated experience and developed wisdom, you should be more willing to bet on yourself, to pursue ambitious dreams, to accept challenges that younger men haven't yet the courage to face. But when your vital energy is low, you become risk-averse, preferring the comfort zone to expansion. The man who masters his sexual energy, on the other hand, maintains a youthful courage combined with mature wisdom. He's not afraid to start new projects, to change careers if necessary, to invest in seemingly impossible dreams. His preserves energy manifests as unshakable confidence in his ability to overcome any obstacle. This energized courage isn't recklessness, it's inspired action. When your life force is full, you develop a sharp intuition that guides you toward the right opportunities. You sense when it's worth the gamble, and when it's better to wait. Your sexual energy transforms into an inner compass that always points in the direction of growth and fulfillment. If you're recognizing yourself in these signs, if you're realizing that your masculine energy isn't where it should be, it's time to do something about it. Don't let another day go by dissipating the power that should be building your greatness. Subscribe to the channel now and hit the notification bell, because you're about to discover not only the problems, but the transformative solutions that can revolutionize your life. The next insights, I'll share are practical and powerful tools that men around the world are using to reclaim their vital energy and transform it into tangible success. Don't just be another passive viewer. Become an active part of this community of men who have chosen excellence. Subscribe now. The fifth and most subtle sin that you're destroying your masculine energy is the loss of connection with your higher purpose and your life's mission. When a man constantly dissipates his life force in empty pleasures, he gradually loses contact with that inner flame that drives him towards something greater than himself. This disconnection is perhaps the most dangerous of all, because it kills the spirit long before it kills the body. By age 50 or more, you should be clearly connected with your mission. You should know exactly why you're here, what unique contribution you can offer the world, what legacy you want to leave. Your sexual energy, when preserved and transmuted, is what fuels this vision of purpose. It's what transforms vague dreams into clear missions, which converts potential into achievement. But when this energy is constantly wasted, you disconnect from your reason for being. You may have material achievements, you may have accumulated experience and knowledge, but something essential is missing. That feeling of fulfilling your destiny, of being on the right path, of being aligned with something sacred and transcendent. The man who masters his sexual energy doesn't just have goals, he has a mission. He doesn't just work, he serves a higher purpose. His preserves and energy manifests as an ardent passion for leaving the world better than he found it. He becomes a spiritual warrior, fighting not for empty personal achievements, but for ideals that transcend him. This connection with purpose is magnetically attractive. People sense when a man is genuinely connected with his mission, and they want to be a part of that journey. Opportunities arise, resources appear, collaborations materialize, because the universe conspires in favor of those who are aligned with their deepest truth. Now that you know the 5 devastating signs, it's time to understand the transformative truth behind it all. Your sexual energy isn't just a biological force, it's the very essence of creation manifested in human form. It's the same force that moves the planets, that makes plants grow, that drives all life in the universe. When you waste this energy, you're literally throwing away a piece of the creative force of the cosmos. Napoleon Hill discovered that all the great leaders, inventors, artists, and entrepreneurs in history had one thing in common. They had learned, consciously or unconsciously, to transmute their sexual energy into concrete achievements. They didn't deny this force. They respected it, honored it, and directed it towards higher purposes. Sexual transmutation isn't sexual repression. It's inner alchemy. It's taking the most primal urge and transforming it into the most refined expression of human creativity. It's like turning coal into a diamond through controlled pressure and temperature. The base material is the same, but the end result is completely different. When you conserve your sexual energy, several transformations begin to happen simultaneously within your system. First, your physical body revitalizes. You wake up with more energy, your skin improves, your muscles become more toned, your posture naturally straightens. It's as if every cell in your body receives an energetic upgrade. Second, your mind sharpens remarkably. Thoughts become clearer, memory improves, creativity explodes, problem-solving ability multiplies. You discover you can work for longer periods without mental fatigue. That brilliant idea spring forth from nowhere. That solutions to long-standing problems appear spontaneously. Third, your emotional presence strengthens dramatically. You become less reactive, more centered, more capable of remaining calm in stressful situations. Your emotional intelligence develops, your relationships improve, your ability to lead and inspire others multiplies exponentially. But the most profound transformation happens on a spiritual level. When you master your sexual energy, you develop a stronger connection with your intuition, with your inner wisdom, with that quiet voice that has always known your true path. You become more receptive to the universe signals, more aligned with life's natural flow, more capable of manifesting your most authentic desires. The process of sexual transmutation is like taming a wild horse. In the beginning, the energy fights against you. It wants to be released in the old familiar way. You feel resistance, discomfort, even some physical symptoms as your system adapts to a new energy pattern. But if you persist, if you remain firm in your commitment to transformation, something magical happens. The energy that was once your enemy becomes your greatest ally. The impulse that once controlled you now serves your highest purposes. You discover you have access to reserves of energy you didn't even know existed. It's like you've discovered a superpower that has always been inside you, waiting to be activated. One of the most fascinating aspects of sexual transmutation is that it creates a magnetic field around you that attracts exactly what you need to achieve your goals. When your energy is being wasted, you operate at a low frequency that attracts mediocre experiences. But when that energy is conserved and directed, you raise your vibrational frequency and begin to attract higher quality people, opportunities, and resources. This isn't magical thinking, it's applied quantum physics. Everything in the universe is energy vibrating at different frequencies. When you raise your frequency through sexual transmutation, you naturally resonate with elements of similar frequency. High-level individuals begin to appear in your life. Business opportunities multiply, relationships deepen, creativity explodes. The man who masters his sexual energy becomes a magnet for success because he himself has become a source of positive energy. He doesn't need to chase opportunities, they chase him. He doesn't need to convince people, they are naturally drawn to his presence. He doesn't need to force results, They emerge as a natural consequence of his directed energy. But how exactly do you perform this transmutation? How do you transform sexual impulse into creative force? The first step is to develop awareness. You need to become a keen observer of your own energy patterns. Begin to notice when you feel sexual urges, and instead of acting automatically, pause and ask yourself, how can I direct this energy towards something constructive? When you feel sexual energy accumulating in your system, instead of dissipating it through physical release, direct it toward a creative project. This could be writing, painting, playing an instrument, developing a business, solving a complex problem. Any activity that requires intense creative energy. You'll be surprised by the results you achieve when your sexual energy fuels your projects. The second step is to develop practices that help circulate this energy throughout your system, instead of letting it accumulate only in the genital region. Deep breathing exercises, meditation, intensive physical activity, these are all tools that help distribute sexual energy throughout the body, transforming it into overall vitality. The third step is to set clear and inspiring goals that are worthy of your conserved energy. When you have a truly important mission, it becomes much easier to resist energetic distractions. Your sexual energy naturally directs itself toward what you value most and wish to create. The journey of sexual transmutation is also a journey of shadow work. You will discover aspects of yourself that you preferred to ignore, unconscious patterns that governed your behavior, emotional wounds that were being anesthetized through sexual release. This process can be uncomfortable, but it is absolutely necessary for your evolution. Every sexual urge you feel carries important information about your deepest desires, your unmet needs, your repressed potentials. When you stop running from these sensations and begin to investigate them, you discover they are messengers in disguise, bringing valuable insights into how you can live a more authentic and fulfilling life. The man who conquers his sexual energy doesn't become asexual. He becomes sexually sovereign. He retains his capacity for pleasure and intimacy, but now he chooses when, how, and with whom he shares their energy. He is no longer a slave to impulses. He is the master of his life force. This sexual sovereignty is reflected in all other aspects of his life. At work, he becomes more productive and creative. In relationships, he becomes more present and connected. In business, he develops a keen intuition for opportunities. In his health, he experiences renewed vitality. In his spirituality, he discovers dimensions of himself he didn't even know existed. The process isn't linear or easy. There will be days you feel like you're slipping backward, moments when temptation feels overwhelming, periods where you question if it's all worth the effort. But those are precisely the moments that define your transformation. It's in the face of greatest resistance that you have the opportunity to make quantum leaps in your evolution. Remember, you're not just changing a habit. You're reorganizing your entire energetic structure. You're choosing to operate at a higher frequency, attract higher quality experiences, and express the best of your masculine nature. This requires courage, discipline, and a clear vision of the man you can become. The reward for this journey is the discovery that you are infinitely more powerful than you ever imagined. That your sexual energy, when mastered and directed, can move mountains, build empires, inspire generations, leave a legacy that transcends your physical existence. You discovered you're not just a man, you're a force of nature in human disguise. At 50 or beyond, you're perfectly positioned to make this transformation. You have the maturity to understand the importance of this journey, the experience to navigate it wisely, and enough time to reap the rewards of your energetic discipline. You can choose to spend the next 20 or 30 years dissipating your life force in empty pleasures, or you can choose to transform that energy into a legacy that will inspire generations. The man who masters his sexual energy isn't just conserving a force, he's unleashing a power that can transform not only his own life, but the world around him. He becomes a beacon of possibility, demonstrating what's possible when a human being fully aligns his energy with his higher purpose. Your sexual energy is your divine inheritance, your direct connection to the creative force of the universe. Don't waste it on fleeting pleasures that leave only lasting emptiness. Honor it, respect it, direct it towards purposes worthy of its natural greatness. Transform yourself into the warrior of light you were always meant to be, the leader the world needs, the man who leaves an indelible mark on history. The sacred fire within you is waiting to be ignited. The question isn't whether you have power. The question is whether you will have the courage to claim it. Your transformative journey begins now, with the next choice you make about how to use your precious life force. Choose wisely, because that choice will determine not only who you become, but what you leave behind.